go over to another game we're talking about, a late-night game. Kansas State pulling out a 31-28 win over Colorado. Colorado had the lead at the very end of the game, but Kansas State on a dime by Avery Johnson scored the game, what ended up being the game-deciding touchdown. Let's go over to the highest-grade player, starting off with Kansas State in this one. Austin Romaine, their linebacker, has been really good for them all year. It was good in this one as well, 82.3 grade. Jace Brown, the wide receiver, 81 grade. Austin Moore, 78.8. DJ Giddens at a 77.5. Easton Kilty at a 74.2. And Avery Johnson at 63.7. Let's go over to the Colorado side of the football with their highest graded players. Number 1, Omarion Miller, 89 grade. Colton Hood at a 76.3. Will Shepard at a 70.9. Hank Zielinskis at a 70. Jordan Seaton at a 69.4. And Shedeur Sanders at a 79.1. Shout out Colton Hood, by the way. Not a guy that plays a lot for Colorado, but when Travis Hunter went down, he came in and he actually played pretty well for Colorado.
Each of those top two guys, because we don't see Omarion Miller much usually, and once Hunter and Jimmy Horn got hurt, then it was like, okay, Miller's on the field. We saw last year against USC, he's a really talented kid. Both of those guys stepping up in place of Hunter, because it takes two guys and maybe even more to replace that production, but they were both really good. This game for me, there's a lot of different stats that kind of tie together, so I'm just going to go with the one to lead it off. Kansas State had the ball for 35 minutes in this game, right? Kansas State did all of the things that they do to win ball games, and it was their one path to winning this ball game, right? It was time of possession. It was rushing yards, right? 220 to 45, taking out sacks. Because I know there's this stat floating around that Colorado.
We already have a guy in the chat saying he had negative 29 yards rushing.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not. It was 45. Actual rushing yards was 45, which is still really bad. Obviously.
Yeah, we're really bad. Yeah,
it's still really bad, but it's not negative 30. So either way, the point holds. 220 to 45. Colorado missed 16 tackles. It's funny because on game day, when the game day crew was interviewing Deion Sanders yesterday morning, they said, what's the first thing you need to do to win this game? He said, tackle.
Yep.
DJ Giddens and Dylan Edwards and Avery Johnson are really hard to tackle, and they proved to be really hard to tackle. 16 missed tackles as a team for Colorado. And it just it was just how Kansas State wins games. Get ahead, run the ball, control the clock. The pass rush was good, 5 sacks on Shedeur, and there was a lot of pressure. I didn't see the actual numbers yet, but it looked like they blitzed more, especially early in the game, than they usually do. Kansas State kind of known for only bringing 4. Looked like they blitzed, especially early, more than usual. And then the injuries kicked in for Colorado once they lost Travis Hunter, once they lost Jimmy Horn, and then once they lost Omarion Miller. That one really hurt him. When Miller was playing so well, he had 145 yards, and he got hurt, and it was basically just down to Will Shepard and LaJohntay Western. Those are two really good players, but Shedeur, he was running out of weapons, and he was running out of magic. He had the one magic drive. Avery Johnson bouncing back from the interception to throw that ball to Jace Brown.
Unbelievable.
He did just enough. He did just enough to support the run game, and DJ Giddens was just spectacular. This is how K-State wins games. And look, I still think Colorado's very good. I just think this was the game where strength on strength, Colorado's run defense, and you're getting into it now, against K-State's run game. K-State won the battle this time. And honestly, watching these two teams, if they played 10 times, it might be 5-5. And K-State, the biggest thing is they got ahead.
I mean, they dominated on the ground, and it still was a 3-point game. That should show you that.
They got ahead, they controlled the clock, and Colorado only had 10 drives to work with. And Shedeur almost made it happen. I still, to me, even through this loss, I don't see – he's the best quarterback in the country.
Yeah.
There's no other quarterback with 3 of his top 5 receivers going down that has that drive that gave him the lead, and then obviously couldn't make the stop, and then the end they were just out of gas. It was just one too many plays that he had to make.
Yeah, hopefully Omarion Miller could get back from injury, but it didn't look pretty, honestly. So hopefully he gets back. I'll get into him in just a second because he was really impressive in this one. But you mentioned it, Colorado's 52.5 run defense grade. I mean, rule number 1 for beating Kansas State, you got to stop the run or even come close to stopping the run. Colorado could not do that. DJ Giddens averaged 7.2 yards a pop. The linebackers especially, they've been really good all year. They struggled in this one. Nikhil Green, 39.6 run defense grade. He had 5 missed tackles. Levante Bentley, 50.6 run defense grade. Shiloh Sanders, 27.6 run defense grade with 3 missed tackles. There's one play where DJ Giddens literally had him on his knees. That's how badly he broke his ankles in that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's really hard to win when you're giving up that much ground in the run game. So, listen, Colorado's still very close to winning this game, even with the run defense not playing good at all. But this run defense, if you can't stop or even come close to containing them run a little bit against Kansas State, it's really hard to beat this team, and you saw in this one.
Yeah, no, I've talked about it. Kansas State might be the hardest team in the country for linebackers to defend. And it proved it. Look, I still look, those two guys you just mentioned, Bentley and Hill Green, I don't see any reason that they should go anywhere or be benched or nothing that. This is just a fantastic run game. I think we both said it. This was going to be an even bigger challenge than UCF, and UCF's a tough assignment. That's just the nature of it.
The speed of it,
if K-State gets in the wheelhouse and they get ahead, they know their identity. And they played to their identity. And then when they asked Avery Johnson to make one big throw, he made it. Props to him, big time. I mean, especially coming right after the interception, the drive before that ended up giving Colorado the lead. Just a really good, a very Kansas State performance. That's the way to put it. And I think you just have a situation here where one team, these are two teams that can at times be one-dimensional. Kansas State got just enough out of the second dimension, whereas Colorado didn't. The run game still being non-existent on Colorado's offense is a problem.
It's a big problem, yeah. So, Don, let's talk about that run game a little bit more for Kansas State, because your most impressive part was easily the Kansas State star running back.
No, he was incredible. DJ Giddens was just awesome. I think you got a little less in this game out of Dylan Edwards and Avery Johnson. This was DJ Giddens' game to be the horse, right? 25 carries, 182 yards, 121 of those yards after contact. I knew that was something that stuck out to me just watching it. I was like, he is breaking tackles. There's yards after contact like crazy. Even when Colorado was filling the gaps properly, you mentioned the Shiloh Sanders play. He was right where he needed to be. He just got shook in the hole like that. I mean, DJ Giddens is the quietest.
No, Shiloh's getting clowned for that. I think anyone in the country would have had their ankle shook. In that
it happened 2 weeks ago.
That move was disgusting.
It happened 2 weeks ago against what, Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
He did. No, DJ Giddens is the quietest elite back in the country. He broke 11 tackles.
That's insane.
Broke 11 tackles last night and had 8 explosive runs. He was just the best. To me, the grades may not shake out, and sometimes the rushing grades and different things happen or whatever. He was the reason they won, without question. When they handed the ball to Dylan Edwards, there wasn't much there. He wasn't breaking tackles and doing that. DJ Giddens is the physical runner. Even when there was plays not blocked perfectly or when Colorado had the gaps filled, he was just making things happen. Again, the quietest elite back in the country. He's so good.
Absolutely, yeah. DJ Giddens was outstanding. I want to shout out Jace Brown. I almost did him for my most impressive part, too. But I got to do Omarion Miller because he was outstanding as well. And our good buddies at DNVR, according to someone in the chat, are saying that he is out for the season with that injury. Now, that's not. We don't have to confirm. I'll have to look up if it is, but it did not look pretty. But if it is indeed, he's out for the year. What a way to go out, man. He had a really, really amazing game in this one. 8 catches on 8 targets for 145 yards, 86.2 receiving grade. He averaged over 7 yards per route run, 7.25 yards per route run in this game. And he's a guy that's a true sophomore, kind of gets lost in the shuffle in that receiving core. But with Travis Hunter going down, Jimmy Horn Jr. going down, he really stepped up in this one. He had 89. He had 145 yards on this one. He had like 240 all of last season. So he's a guy that I was really, really impressed by in this game. He really kept this offense alive in this one. Hope he gets healthy soon. We'll see if he actually is out for the year, but it didn't look pretty. But I wanted to shout him out because he was really, really good for Colorado's offense yesterday.
No, I agree. He's an incredibly talented kid. We saw that in the USC game last year when they almost came back against Caleb Williams and the Trojans. But, I mean, to have a kid like that who's your 5th receiver and stepping up for Travis Hunter the way he did, they may have won that game if he didn't get hurt. Honestly, he was playing that well. So it is a shame to see that, but he's a talented kid. He's going to be back with a vengeance. If it's next week or next year or whenever it is, he's really talented. He's a guy to watch out for.